Hello, I am the guy that runs the NotAsBad FNF covers account, and today I'm going to be walking you through my process of making chromatic scales. Now this is kind of an edited version of the Succ tutorial method for making chromatic scales. I don't know if that video is still up, but this is kind of just, I started doing that, and then I started doing other things, and eventually just kind of refined it into this method that I use. But it's pretty simple, and I think that it is very useful. It can be used for a lot of different characters, almost no matter what audio quality you even have for it. You can use it on characters with effects. It's pretty good. The only limits are I don't know, don't try and make like a 2011X scale, because that guy's got like 3 different pitches for a voice. But first what you want to do is you want to get your samples up, right? This is the audio I'm going to sample for this tutorial scale. I decided I was going to go with Chica's Magic Rainbow because there was a reply to my tweet that I thought was really funny. You know, this is kind of what the voice sounds like.
Yeah, did you really think I'd let a moron like you reach the end of the game? You stupid, idiotic moron!
And I ended up going with these for my samples.
Got the info.
Now, when choosing the samples that you want to use, you have to keep in mind that there's a fairly high likelihood that if you choose the wrong types of samples, they may end up sounding different once they've been sampled and pitched. I usually like to go, especially when I'm sampling, someone talking, I usually like to try and find flatter sounds and a bit more drawn out sounds if I can help it, because usually those keep someone's bass, actual voice, intact, whereas a lot of the times if you are not careful you can find samples that fluctuate a bit too far off from what their voice actually sounds like, so that when they are sampled and pitched they sound bad and they don't sound like the character. But once you have this, you want to export each of these samples separately from each other, and you want to put them all into the channel rack. I like to put them all into one mixer channel, but really all you need to do is make sure that use loop points is turned on. Once you do that, you open the audio editor, and you want to try and find which part has the sound that you're looking for. Like for instance, this sample I am using primarily for the ah sound. So I would want to go about right here, and let's press play. Now that sounds terrible, but that's the point. This is not how you're supposed to have it, because obviously if I click loop right now, that sounds like a computer blue screening or something. That sounds bad. But as you can notice, this audio file, these waveforms, they look kind of similar. And that's because a lot of the time with these sounds, you'll have the same waveform going for a couple different loops here. As you can see 5 instances of the same waveform. And if I scroll out, you can see more and more. And so these are the waveforms that make up that specific sound. So what you want to do is, generally I like to go and find a point. I usually go for stuff like here, where it is a peak at the start and it's a noticeable peak, and then find the equivalent of it here. Let's say it's about right here, and then once you loop it, see, that sounds a lot better. But once you do that, you click accept, and now if I play this, it loops. Now I usually also like to kind of delete the first bit to try and kind of make it a bit more concise, getting really straight into the sound. I like to leave a little bit at the start, but sometimes that can sound a bit weird depending on the sample that you use, so I would recommend just being pretty liberal with what you cut off. Do whatever sounds good. If it sounds good to you, realistically that's pretty good. And also, an important thing to note, I would not recommend just straight up cutting everything in front of the loop, because a lot of the time that stuff in front of the loop can also help the voice register better as the character, because sometimes the loop alone does not sound right, but it can be saved by what is in front of it, so that there's a bit of context for the sound. So once you're done with that, usually I would send to selected channel. That's not been working for me recently, but if it works for you, do that. If not, send to playlist as audio clip, and then you want to go to your recent files, put that there, and then use loop points, and then that's there. Now, this is all well and good. You can do it like this and it'll be fine. What I've recently started trying to do a bit more is you want to go into this little section here, go to pitch, and you want to add a little bit of vibrato because it makes it sound a bit more human. So what I like to do is I do this. I usually like to put it about right here. Sort of, I don't really that much. Make the speed about right here. And it's like, that's a bit too much. You want to put the amplitude down a bit. The speed down a bit, a little higher up. It's very precise. Very precise how you get the sound. Maybe a little faster. And as you can see, that adds a little bit of vibrato, but trust me, that goes a fairly long way in terms of making this sound more like a person. You can add a little bit of delay so that it doesn't immediately do it. And there you go, you got a pretty good sample there. I'm going to quickly speed through doing this for the rest of them, because it's the exact same for each. Once you have everything set up with your now looped samples, you want to make sure that you go into the piano roll and you make long enough samples for whatever your scales need. Like for instance, my samples are going to be this long. Once you do that, you want to take the pattern, you want to put it into the playlist, and you want to chop it into 4 pieces. This is imperative because of the software that we will be using to complete our chromatic scale, which requires separated samples. The software in question that we are going to be using is Chromatic Scale Generator Plus Remaster. It is a software that has been created to make the chromatic making process a lot easier, as it can automatically, repeat and pitch samples for you. And frankly, I got very tired of using Newtone. So you want to go to File, you want to go to Export, you want to export to all playlist tracks, and put it into a folder that you will be using for your samples and such. For instance, for me, I have currently set up a tutorial folder within the folders for the Chromatic Scale Generator Plus, and as you can see, I have 4 separate audio files here. Once you have them exported, you want to also make sure that they are labeled as 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you don't have them labeled as 1, 2, 3, and 4, it will not work. Once you have that set up, then you can go to Chromatic Scale Generator Plus Remastered and select the folder that you put your samples in as the sample folder. You can set the starting note, you have all these things, and then you can choose your starting octave. Please note the lowest you can go is actually 2, it's not 1, because 1 is broken and has been in every iteration of this program for some reason. If any of you out there can code, please fix this. It makes me very angry. If you do and send it to me, I'll promote it or something, I don't know. But yeah, we got starting octave 2, that's what I usually go for. I usually set the range as 60, and I usually leave the gap at 3 seconds because it doesn't really matter. Then what you want to do is you want to make sure that apply pitch transformation is in fact checked. If you want to dump your individual pitch samples, you can. I never do that. I never randomize sample selection either. But what I do, peak normalize each sample so that each has the same volume to it, and embed FL Studio SliceX markers just because it makes things more convenient. Once you have your settings, generate chromatic. I'll do it really quickly, and then you can see the output folder, and there is now a new audio file here called Chromatic. Usually what I do then is I go to rename it, just title it whatever you need it to be. I usually just do character chromatic. And now you have a functional chromatic scale. Alright, now here I have opened the Succ V2 FLP by BenLab, and I'm going to be demonstrating the chromatic that I have created. Here is what it sounds like. But yeah, I hope that was a informative little tutorial for you all. I think that this method is very useful. I've found that generally I can make a scale out of literally anything I want with it. In the context of the tweet that I saw that originally made me want to do this, if I'm being honest, I think AI scales are completely useless. I don't think that we need to use them. And I know, of course, there is the example of a certain song from a certain popular mod that uses AI scales because it was very hard to make a actual scale out of the voices that they used for it. And I would like to prove my point, I would like to show you this.